In this video, we're talking about a very important list that exists across the United States. It's called the Brady List. This is a list that the Supreme Court said that defense attorneys are entitled to get. What they're saying is this happened in a case out of Brady versus Maryland in 1963, I believe it was, where the court said that the prosecutor's office, they're in control of a lot of evidence, and they have to give the defense evidence that is either exculpatory, meaning it tends to show the defendant's innocence, or that would provide impeachment evidence that we could use against any of the government's witnesses. So in this case, exculpatory means it tends to show somebody's innocence. So say, for example, the police did a full investigation. They found a bunch of witnesses that said A didn't do that. He didn't do any of that stuff. Well, they have to tell us about that. If the police still decided to charge A, but then a bunch of other witnesses came forward and said, no, B actually did it, the government needs to tell us about that because they're in control of that evidence. They're in control of the information that they have from those other witnesses, and their statements tend to prove that the defendant, the person we would be representing, is in fact innocent. It's called exculpatory. They need to provide that to us. The other part that we saw out of Brady versus Maryland is that if there's impeachment evidence, meaning if there's evidence or information or any data that the defense can use to impeach a government witness, like a police officer or somebody who works at a crime lab or any of those things, they need to provide that evidence to us. We can impeach these people, meaning we can call their credibility into question if we know that they've committed other violations, ethical violations, if they've got some malfeasance in their personnel files, if they've lied or had some internal problems with their department. We need to know about those things because we can impeach them as we go forward. We can say this person lied about this and lied about this, so why is it not possible that they're lying in our case with the person that we're represented? We're entitled to know that so we can impeach them and we can call their credibility into question. It's a very good case. It's very fair. It gives us the information that we need to know what's in the prosecutor's file so that we can do our best job representing people who are charged with crimes. Now, in Arizona, there's an entity that governs the police officers. It's called the AZ Post. It's the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board. You can find their website at post.az.gov. And if you want, you can go on there and you can click and look up the post's integrity violations, or they call it an integrity bulletin. I have the one from October here. Now, they don't put the names of the officers on this document, but they do put the generalities of what is going on. So, for example, number one here, we have a deputy failed to investigate the molestation of a 16-year-old female by her father. Another case, a detective failed to properly investigate and document multiple criminal cases that were assigned to him. Here's the fifth one down. An officer was intoxicated when he reported for duty on his first day of work. He also admitted to driving himself in full police uniform while in this state. An officer, after consuming several alcoholic beverages at an off-duty squad party, retrieved and unloaded another officer's unattended firearm before pointing the weapon at the officer and pulling the trigger. So look, officers are people too. They do dumb things, and they get reprimanded for it. They get revoked. They get decertified. They're no longer allowed to be officers. They do things that call into question their integrity, and this is just a handful of the officers that were in this bulletin. The reality is there's a lot of officers who have pretty egregious violations in their record. They've lied, they've been dishonest, disingenuous, they've falsified evidence, they've done all sorts of things. Now, not every officer. There are a lot of very good, honest officers. I think most of them are. But the reality is there are some bad eggs in there, and when they do bad things, we need to know about it because it calls into question their work. It calls into question their honesty and their integrity, and we have the ability to know about it. And so Arizona, they basically keep what's called a Brady List. It's a list of these officers by name that the prosecutors have access to. As part of our representation on any criminal case, we tell them that we want that list. We want to know whether any officer who's involved in any of these cases are actually on that list, if they've got any honesty or integrity violations. Now, I don't necessarily trust what they do in terms of keeping this list up to date and current. I don't think they do a good job of it. I've spoken with many prosecutors on the internal workings of how they maintain and disseminate this list, and I don't think it's very good. We keep our own internal records. We keep internal files on each one of these officers. So if we ever see that somebody pops up somewhere, their file gets flagged, so we know that if we're ever dealing with that officer again, we know that person has a Brady issue or something that's very close to a Brady issue. The other thing that happens a lot is officers are investigated and surprisingly nothing comes of it. It's not deemed egregious enough to put them on the list, or before the investigation is completed, they'll move offices. So they'll move from one county to another county before the investigation can be completed, and it impugns their file. They're called nomad officers. They bounce from one jurisdiction to the other until nobody will hire them anymore. Then they jump to a different state. It's a very common thing. If you Google the Brady List Arizona, you're going to find articles about it. So I just want you to be aware of that, the fact that this list even exists. A lot of the time, people just don't even want to believe that there are officers who may be less than honest or have a kind of a lower level of integrity than you might expect from our law enforcement, but there are those that do, unfortunately. It's called the Brady List. If you've been charged with a crime, you have a right to know what's on it. If you want to speak with our office about it, give us a call. We offer free case evaluations. We're happy to speak with you. Thanks for watching.